My name is Charlotte Raywood and I am an active advocate for children. And today I have chosen to take on the educational issue that children's uniforms that are currently mandated should not be mandated. They should be optional and gender neutral, especially in public schools. I have found this following policies that currently surround school uniform. The state governments currently hold control over the legislations surrounding uniform for children. The New South Wales Education Department holds the legislations. In section 1.1, it states that schools set local school uniform requirements, which means each local government area and school has to set a uniform for the children that must be comfortable, suitable, and should be easily accessible financially for parents. Different schools, however, do have different policies and different sectors. So Catholic schools and private schools may have different guidelines or extra guidelines on top of the current ones, such as the Presbyterian Ladies College. I found their website and it states that their girls' hair must be tied back out of their face. They must have the school backpacks and logos on them and the correct shoes and etc. that must be followed by the students and by the parents, so which might be an extra financial burden on top of that. Overall, from what I could gather from the New South Wales government, the Queensland Department of Education as well also follows the same rules as the New South Wales Department does. It's not cohesive and quite confusing for parents and students to understand and sit down and read these rules. The current issues that school uniform has is it's really expensive. As we can see in the pros and cons list here I've made about school uniform, the only pro is really that it does have a sense of belonging for the students to a school community. However, it can be really expensive for students. It derives children of their sense of identity and their way of personalizing their own values and their cultural values as well. They're derived for students. So I think that uniforms should be optional. I actually got the joy of interviewing some parents and some students about their school uniform. All the parents said that school uniform was the easiest option in the morning to get up and get ready, but that doesn't give the children their own agency and their own, it doesn't develop their decision making to get up in the morning and decide what they're going to get for school. All parents did agree that it was a financial burden on their part. I also got to ask the students about how they felt, if they were comfortable in the school uniform, and if they would change anything, just to hear their voices as well and their agency, which is really important. One student actually says that she enjoys Mufti Day because she can present herself in the way that she wants, and she's more comfortable and ready and excited to learn and go to school and show kids her outfit for the day. I actually was quite disappointed that one child stated that she was scared to go to school in her school uniform because she did wear shorts, and she was bullied for that and judged by her classmates, which didn't make her excited to learn and go to school. The solution that I have for this uniform issue is that the uniform should be gender neutralized, which allows girls to wear shorts as stated in section 1.4 of the current uniform policy, but it should allow boys to wear skirts as well and dresses, what they would like. I think that each individual school should set a color scheme, maybe red, like for example, red, white, and blue and gray. The school colors, still giving that sense of school community and the sense that the child belongs in the school with those school colors on. This will allow the parents to not only purchase uniform, which should be available still for students, but to purchase everyday clothes that the child is comfortable in and they can go and excited to wear to school. This also gives parents takes the financial burden off their shoulders and gives the child the agency to decide what they're going to wear for school in the day. I think it's also important to create a networking partnership between schools and the state government that set the legislation and government and guidelines to create that kind of understanding what the child's needs are and to share their values across the school board. These changes should be visualized for parents to understand. I believe that the proposed policies and codes should bring out the strict guidelines on what the child should be wearing to safely cover themselves and stay healthy. So like long sleeves and long shorts as well, and enclosed shoes, obviously. But the individual schools should establish the guidelines, the expectations and the consequences for not meeting those guidelines set by either the state government or themselves. Also, I believe that the school should set a code of conduct, much like the teachers have, for students and parents. They can sign at the start of the school year that they understand what health and safety that the children need to follow, so like, such as the long sleeves, stuff that needs to cover their shoulders. So yeah, getting the families to sign a code of conduct and understanding what the consequences and the expectations are that need to be met by the school. In conclusion, as we saw throughout the slides, children and families and communities will benefit from making this optional, as the children will feel more comfortable in wearing their own clothing at school. They'll be excited to learn and go into school and learn new things. They'll be less prone to the maleficent acts such as bullying, which may present themselves in school uniform for looking different than others. But they can also represent themselves in a way that they actually see themselves and have their voice and just their personal values and their cultural values being seen and delivered. So I think it will benefit children greatly to make it optional. As we can see my references here at the end, I hope you advocate for children and the optional school uniforms.